Hello again, and this is another blog that I set up for my students to learn English. And this records some of the English lessons that I used to conduct by inviting visitors. I read somewhere in a book when I was in the National Institute of Education that having real life visitors in class was a wonderful experience. So I invited Mr. and Mrs. Richard Musyoki, who are from Kenya, East Africa, and also their son, Nathaniel, to come to Kentridge. And they were interviewed by our students who had a real life example of meeting someone from the African continent. So I have recorded and documented in photographs and in write-ups what are some of the things that were shared with the classes. I use the AVA room to conduct many of the combined classes. The English teachers and some of the other teachers graciously gave up their lessons or allowed Mr. Richard Musyoki to come in for the students to interview. So the way of life in Kenya, East Africa, is quite different from Singapore. By the way, the British also were colonial masters of Kenya, and they received their independence around the same time we did in 1965. So Mr. Richard Musyoki shared about the life that he has lived in his country, and he has some artifacts that he also shared with the children. Now the bow and arrow are real, is just that the metal tips had been removed for safety. So the artifacts like the carved animals and the pitcher or the gourd are real natural products, and they use it in their everyday life. So the students got a chance to check out what other people in other countries do to get by, whether they had breakfast or not. He told me that he only drank a cup of tea every morning, and he would walk or run the 10 to 15 kilometers to school. And I think this helps our students put into perspective the kind of life they live in Singapore right now. And all the artifacts, in fact, were gifts to my family members from the different people that met them, because my family went to Kenya from the year 2000 to 2010, almost every year, to help out over there. So here are some of the photographs of the different classes. This is probably one of the Sec 5 classes, and they are interacting. And the Sec 4 class with Mr. Casey Tan, who was their English teacher, you can see that he arranged the class in a lecture style format. And these students were fascinated. By the way, that blue basket is made out of the sessile hemp. It's a plant that where you strip the fibers, and then the women would weave it and then dye it. Now, this is Nathaniel Musyoki. He is the son of Mr. and Mrs. Musyoki, and he was about probably 3, I think. And he was quite a fascinating person to be in class, and the students really interacted and got to know him, and it's so different and heartwarming to see them warm up to a child. I suppose one thing they were fascinated by was the hairstyle. All right, his hair is not straight, but it's in tight curls, and this is one of my, I believe, the 2N class or 1N class, and they were enjoying the interaction so much. And it's good to see them come alive and ask questions. And Ian was very warm and kind-hearted. And you see Miss Siti Fazila at the back. Yes, she was the form teacher of this class. And you can see that with the child in the class, it was so much easier for interaction. And the bow and arrow, this is before all the archery programs we had in our CCAs. All right, so here the different students got a first-hand interaction with guests and visitors from another continent, from another country, from another culture, far away from us. And this was before the internet. So it was good. It was good to see all the students come alive. This is Mrs. Maggie Lim, our former home economics teacher who has since retired. Okay? And different classes had a different perspective of talking to the guests. You can see the classroom, some of them have the back wall painted in a different color. So this was already the first renovation, and the walls of the classrooms were painted a different color. You can see all the natural products used, and also honey by the bees kept. Okay, and the women would be carrying baskets on their head. They would carry water from the river miles away. All right, so I hope you've enjoyed that, and maybe one day you get to visit Africa.